Top 10 Ancient Secrets to Building Lasting Wealth. For thousands of years, humanity has chased one thing: wealth. Not just money jingling in a purse, not just coins minted by kings, but something greater. True, lasting wealth. Wealth that outlives kings, survives empires, and passes from generation to generation. Think about it. Empires have risen and fallen. Pharaohs have come and gone. Mighty dynasties have been reduced to dust. Yet, some families, some nations, some ideas have carried wealth across centuries. How? What secrets do they know that so many of us have forgotten? Subscribe and sit tight. You are about to learn some shocking facts. In today's video, we're going to uncover 10 ancient secrets to building lasting wealth. Principles that guided Egyptians, Babylonians, Chinese dynasties, Roman elites, and more. These are strategies carved in stone, written on scrolls, whispered in temples, and practiced in marketplaces long before Wall Street or Silicon Valley existed. And here's the question you must ask yourself. What are the strategies that made ancient empires wealthy? Are the same ones the rich quietly use today? Could it be that the formula for wealth has never really changed? Stay with me as we unravel this hidden wisdom and discover how you can use it to build wealth that lasts beyond your lifetime. Before we uncover the secrets themselves, let's pause for a moment and ask, why look back to the ancients? After all, we live in an age of smartphones, digital banking, and cryptocurrencies. Surely, the financial wisdom of people who lived thousands of years ago has nothing to teach us, right? But here's the truth. Ancient civilizations built wealth without stock markets, without banks, without apps or complex derivatives. And yet, their empires thrived. They traded across continents, built massive cities, and left behind legacies that we still study today. They understood something timeless. Wealth was never just about money. It was about patience, strategy, and legacy. Compare that to our world today. We're obsessed with speed, get-rich-quick schemes, overnight millionaires, viral trends. But the ancients played the long game. They built systems of trade and wealth preservation designed not just for their own lives, but for their children and their children's children. There's an old proverb that says, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." The ancients lived with that truth in mind. They saw wealth as something sacred, something entrusted to them, not just to be spent, but to be multiplied and passed on. And that's why we look back. Because these civilizations, despite their lack of modern tools, understood the principles of prosperity in ways we often ignore. Their wealth wasn't fragile. It was structured. Their wisdom wasn't quick. It was lasting. By looking back at history, we learn not only how to earn money, but how to preserve it. We discover how to escape the trap of short-term thinking and instead build wealth that endures storms, survives uncertainty, and creates a legacy. So, what exactly were these timeless secrets? Let's begin with one of the greatest lessons from the cradle of civilization itself, the Babylonian rule of gold. Secret 1. The Babylonian rule of gold. Our journey begins in one of the greatest financial capitals the world has ever known, Babylon. Imagine standing before massive walls that towered over the desert, so wide that two chariots could race side by side atop them. Inside those walls lay a city of breathtaking wealth. Gold merchants, jewel traders, caravans loaded with goods from far-off lands, and farmers bringing grain to market. Babylon was more than a city. It was the Wall Street of the ancient world. But what truly made Babylon rich was not just trade. It was wisdom, carved into clay tablets, some of which survive today, were timeless rules for acquiring and keeping wealth. These rules became known as the Babylonian rule of gold, and they guided merchants, farmers, and even kings. 1. Save at least 10% of your earnings. The first rule was simple yet profound. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. The Babylonians believed that before paying debts, before buying luxuries, before spending on pleasure, you must set aside at least 1/10 of your earnings. This simple discipline turned ordinary men into wealthy merchants over time. 2. Control your spending. The second rule warned against spending more than necessary. Babylonians understood human desire, how quickly luxuries become necessities. They taught, learn to distinguish want from needs, and keep your expenses below your income. For them, wealth wasn't measured by what you spent, but by what you kept. 3. Invest wisely. The third rule, make your gold multiply. Savings alone were not enough. Babylonian merchants learned to put their silver to work, whether by investing in trade caravans, lending to reliable partners, or purchasing land. They knew that idle gold was wasted gold. 4. Protect your wealth from loss. The fourth rule, guard your treasures. Babylonians were warned against risky schemes, trusting inexperienced traders, or falling for promises of quick riches. Instead, they were taught to invest only where the principal was safe and where experience guided the return. Even in 4000 BC, they knew, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. These 4 simple rules, save, control, invest, and protect, became the backbone of Babylon's prosperity. Ordinary men who followed them grew wealthy. Those who ignored them often ended in poverty, despite once holding great riches. And here's what makes this secret powerful. It has not changed in 5,000 years. If you earn an income today, no matter how small, you can apply the Babylonian rule of gold. Start by saving 10%. Learn to live below your means. Put your money to work through wise investments. Protect it from risky ventures. This is not theory. It's a law of wealth proven by centuries. So, from the mighty walls of Babylon, we learn our first ancient secret. Wealth begins not with how much you earn, but with how much you keep and how wisely you grow it. But what happens when even the greatest wealth is tested by famine, drought, or crisis? For that lesson, we travel to the land of the pharaohs, ancient Egypt. Secret 2, Egypt's agricultural investments. If Babylon was a financial capital of trade, then Egypt was the empire of agriculture. For Egypt, wealth was not measured in coins or jewels, but in food. The Nile River, with its life-giving floods, transformed deserts into fertile fields. Pharaohs understood this truth. Wealth equals food security. Perhaps the greatest story of Egypt's financial wisdom is found in the biblical account of Joseph. Interpreting Pharaoh's dream, Joseph foresaw 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. His advice was simple but revolutionary. During years of plenty, store grain, build reserves, prepare for the famine that will surely come. This principle turned Egypt into the wealthiest nation of its time. While surrounding regions starved, Egypt had grain to spare, grain that became more valuable than gold. Neighboring nations came to Egypt, trading treasures, livestock, even land just for food. By preparing in good times, Egypt not only survived the famine, it prospered during it. And what does this ancient lesson teach us today? That true wealth is not about what you have during times of plenty. It's about what you keep for times of scarcity. The Egyptians built wealth not by chasing luxuries, but by storing essentials. They created reserves. Your reserves today may not be wheat or barley, but they are just as vital. An emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses acts as your granary. Investments in stable assets, land, food, even energy, are modern equivalents of Egypt's grain stores. When others are desperate in times of crisis, those with reserves not only survive, they thrive. The pharaohs of Egypt understood that wealth was not built in one season. It was built through foresight, the patience to save during abundance, the discipline to resist consuming everything today, and the wisdom to prepare for tomorrow's famine, even when the fields looked endless. So, the second ancient secret is clear. Wealth is not only about what you earn, it's about what you preserve. Build your reserves. Store for the unexpected, for famine always comes. And with preparation, it becomes not your downfall, but your opportunity. Secret 3, Chinese dynasties and the power of patience. China was one of the longest-standing civilizations in history, not because it rushed, but because it mastered the art of patience. For thousands of years, Chinese dynasties understood that wealth was never just about sudden gains. It was about endurance, legacy, and the slow but steady compounding of effort. The Silk Road itself, stretching thousands of miles, was not built overnight. It took generations of trade, trust, and reinvestment. Chinese merchants became some of the wealthiest in the world because they thought in decades, not days. They reinvested profits into their family businesses, ensuring that their wealth did not die with them, but multiplied across generations. A powerful example comes from the merchant families who dealt in silk, tea, and jade. Instead of squandering their earnings, they expanded trade routes, taught their children accounting, negotiation, and discipline, and passed down their fortunes like an inheritance of wisdom. The philosopher Confucius captured this mindset perfectly when he said, "The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones." It wasn't just about making money. It was about cultivating habits, discipline, and patience that turned small stones into entire empires. Modern takeaway. In today's fast-paced world, everyone is chasing quick riches. Crypto pumps, overnight stock picks, viral success. But the ancient Chinese remind us that real wealth doesn't explode. It grows. Slowly, steadily, quietly. If you consistently save, reinvest, and let compounding work over years, your money transforms into a mountain. The greatest fortunes today, think Warren Buffett, think long-term investors, are built not on rushing but on patience. The lesson is simple. Don't chase speed, chase endurance. Wealth that grows slowly lasts the longest. Secret 4, Roman real estate and infrastructure wealth. The Romans were not only conquerors of land, but also masters of wealth building through infrastructure. Unlike other civilizations that focus solely on gold or trade, the Romans understood a deeper truth. Real wealth lies in ownership and systems that generate value long after you're gone. Roman emperors, senators, and wealthy citizens poured their riches into land, roads, aqueducts, and public works. A villa wasn't just a luxury home. It was a revenue stream. Villas produced rent, farms generated crops, and trade routes built on Roman roads made entire regions thrive. The phrase, "all roads lead to Rome," was not just a saying. It was an economic reality. Roads meant trade meant taxes, and taxes meant empire-wide prosperity. Infrastructure was their wealth engine, creating a legacy that lasted for centuries. But here's the key insight. Land ownership equaled power. To own land in Rome was to secure your family's future for generations. Landlords passed on their wealth like dynasties, ensuring that their name, influence, and fortune lived beyond their lifetimes. Today, the Roman lesson still rings true. Real estate is modern Rome's land. Rental properties, farmland, commercial units, or even heirs generate cash flow while appreciating in value. Infrastructure is now digital. Websites, apps, online platforms, and even social media pages are today's aqueducts and roads. They connect people and create wealth if built and maintained. The mindset: invest not just in what you use today, but in what will serve and generate value tomorrow. In short, if you want to build Roman-level wealth, don't just buy luxuries. Own assets that pay you and build systems that outlast you. Quote, "What you build for people will outlive what you buy for yourself." Secret 5, the Indian principle of dharma and wealth. In ancient India, wealth was never seen as an isolated goal. It was tied to a deeper principle called dharma, the path of duty, righteousness, and balance. To the ancients, true prosperity wasn't just measured in gold or land, but in how that wealth was used to uphold harmony in society. Indian dynasties and merchant families believed that riches gained without dharma were unstable, like sand slipping through the fingers. This is why traders, kings, and wealthy guilds reinvested not only in their businesses, but in temples, schools, wells, and roads. By uplifting communities, they ensured stability and loyalty, which in turn protected their wealth for generations. Think of the trade guilds, Srinis. They weren't just about making profit. They set ethical codes for fair trade, supported craftsmen, and even provided social security for members' families. This combination of commerce plus compassion built trust across kingdoms and continents. Even scriptures like the Arthashastra emphasize that wealth must be preserved, multiplied, and used to benefit society, not hoarded selfishly. The balance between artha, wealth, dharma, duty, and kama, desires, created a holistic view of prosperity. Modern takeaway: wealth that serves only yourself is fragile. Wealth that serves a greater purpose, whether through philanthropy, impact-driven businesses, or community investment, becomes a legacy. In today's world, that could mean supporting education, building sustainable businesses, or creating opportunities for others. Profit plus purpose equals power that endures. Secret 6, the Greek concept of knowledge as wealth. In ancient Greece, wealth wasn't measured only in gold or land. it was also measured in knowledge. The Greeks believed that wisdom was the foundation of all lasting prosperity. B. Athens, often called the birthplace of democracy, thrived because of its culture of learning, debate, and innovation. Knowledge was seen not just as power, but as currency. C. Great thinkers like Aristotle taught the principle of moderation in economics, warning against both excess and poverty. True wealth, he argued, lay in balance and discipline. D. Meanwhile, Socrates reminded his students, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. This humility drove the Greeks to keep learning, questioning, and innovating. E. It was this culture of curiosity and education that helped Greece advance in philosophy, mathematics, politics, architecture, and trade, building a legacy that still influences us today. Modern takeaway. In today's world, your greatest investment isn't always in real estate, stocks, or gold. It's in your own mind. Education, skills, and lifelong learning are assets that never depreciate and often compound in value. The more you learn, the more opportunities you create. Whether it's mastering a new trade, understanding finance, or learning how technology shapes the future, knowledge multiplies your earning potential and safeguards your wealth. Final lesson. Just as the Greeks built their civilization on the foundation of wisdom, you too can build enduring wealth by treating knowledge as your greatest currency. Secret 7 African Kingdoms and Trade Networks. Africa's wealth story isn't just about gold. It's about networks, culture, and knowledge. The Mali Empire, led by the legendary Mansa Musa, became one of the wealthiest kingdoms in history. His pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 was so lavish, distributing gold along the way, that it disrupted entire economies for years. But the real secret of African wealth wasn't only in glittering treasure. It was in trade and ideas. Caravans carried salt, ivory, and gold across the Sahara, linking Africa to the Middle East and beyond. Cities like Timbuktu weren't just trade hubs. They were knowledge capitals. Scholars filled libraries with manuscripts on astronomy, medicine, and law, proving that true wealth is more than money. The modern lesson? Diversification, and networks create resilience. Mali's prosperity came from multiple sources: trade, agriculture, culture, and education. Today, that means don't rely on just one stream of income or one skill. Build a portfolio of assets, relationships, and knowledge. Because when gold runs out, wisdom and networks still endure. Secret 8. The Middle Eastern WAC charitable endowments. In the Middle East, merchants mastered the art of wealth preservation through giving back. They created WACs, charitable endowments that funded schools, hospitals, mosques, and even water wells for travelers. A wealthy merchant could build a caravanserai, a rest stop for traders, ensuring not only safe passage for commerce, but also a lasting family legacy. Unlike gold lockaway, a WAC kept generating impact for centuries. Communities prospered, and families remained honored long after the wealth itself changed hands. The lesson? Wealth isn't just what you keep, but what you give that keeps giving. In today's world, this translates to philanthropy, community projects, and impact investing. A fortune spent only on yourself dies with you, but wealth tied to service multiplies across generations. Together, these two secrets reveal a deeper truth. Wealth that serves only one person fades, but wealth that builds communities lasts forever. Secret 9, the Viking secret. Trade over raid. When we hear the word Vikings, most of us think of fierce raiders, storming villages with axes in hand. But history reveals a deeper truth. The greatest Viking wealth didn't come from plunder, it came from trade. The Vikings were master navigators, controlling some of the most lucrative trade routes in medieval Europe. From Scandinavia, their longships reached as far as Constantinople, Baghdad, and even North America. They traded furs, amber, honey, and slaves, and in return, they received silk, silver coins, spices, and exotic goods. This strategy of wealth building was far more sustainable than raiding. Raids gave quick riches, but trade built empires. By creating networks, forging partnerships, and expanding markets, the Vikings transformed from feared raiders into respected merchants. Lesson: the Viking secret is simple yet powerful. Lasting wealth comes not from short-term grabs, but from long-term networks. Partnerships, markets, and expansion create wealth that endures beyond a single generation. Secret 10, the power of legacy and storytelling. In every civilization we've explored, one truth emerges. Wealth was never just about gold or silver. It was about knowledge passed down. Ancient cultures understood that money fades, but wisdom multiplies. Families and kingdoms preserved their wealth habits through stories, proverbs, and written laws. In Africa, proverbs taught money management and community values. In Greece and Rome, written philosophies shaped trade, law, and economics. In China and India, family lineages recorded not just property, but moral lessons about duty, thrift, and prosperity. True wealth was measured by what could be taught and repeated, not just what could be spent. That's why dynasties survived for centuries, because each generation didn't have to start from scratch. They inherited not just money, but systems, principles, and stories. Lesson: if you want your wealth to outlive you, don't just pass down money, pass down knowledge. Teach your children financial skills, create systems they can use, and leave behind stories that guide their decisions. That is the real power of legacy. Conclusion: building wealth that lasts beyond you. From the deserts of Mali to the icy seas of Vikings. From the wisdom of the East to the legacies carved in stone by empires long gone. One truth remains unshaken. Wealth is never just about gold, silver, or coins. It is about vision, patience, and legacy. The ancients understood something many forget today. Wealth is built slowly, with discipline and purpose. It is nurtured not only by trade, but by networks, by knowledge, by generosity, and by the power of stories that outlive us. And here's the real secret. True wealth isn't measured by what you keep. It's measured by what you pass on, to your children, to your community, and to the world. When you apply these 10 ancient secrets, you're not just stacking money in a vault. You're building foundations for generations yet unborn. The ancients left us clues. The question is, will you follow them? Will you live not just for profit, but for purpose? Will you create not just riches, but a legacy that stands the test of time? Now it's your turn. Which of these ancient secrets spoke to your soul the most? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your journey. And if you're ready to keep unlocking the forgotten money wisdom of our ancestors, then subscribe right now to Ancient Wealth. And join me in the next episode, The Lost Money Rules of King Solomon. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Remember to get your free 5 ancient wealth secrets you can apply today. Also, check out our top 5 ancient wealth and history books for ancient wealth seekers. Links in the description.